So we can do a bit more with for loops. One thing we can do is declare more than one variable. Okay, we are restricted to those variables having the same type. So I can't, for example, create another variable that's a string, but I could create a second variable that is also an integer. So for example, I could, let's say I want to count up from 10, but simultaneously count down from, count up from 0 and count down from 10. We might say, well, okay, j is equal to 10. So we've got I has got a value of 1, j is equal to 10. And we might say, well, okay, we want to increment I. We can separate with a comma, like we've done with our variables. We want to make j go down, so we can say j minus minus. Okay. Note, we don't have to declare the type again because the type is specified first. Okay. We can't put a different type, so I can't say, for example, double j equals 10. It won't let me do that. So we've got to keep our data types the same. We could extend the condition, but only, rather than putting multiple conditions, we'd for example say or. So we might say while I is less than 10, or j is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, and if we want to print out both, what we might do is just make it so we can see which one's which. We might say I, and we might do similar for j. So if we run that, we should start at 1 for I and 10 for j, and then until such time as either I reaches 10 or j reaches 0, then the loop will finish. And obviously we don't need both of those, but we can have them, because obviously you can work out that one's going to go up while the other goes down. But let's just run that, and then we can see. Okay. So you might think, hang on a minute, what's going on here? We've got to 11. Okay, and what we want to think about here is why that's happened. Well, with an or statement, either of those can be met before before it returns false. So even if in this case I exceeds 10, because j is still greater than 0, it keeps going. So what we would want to do instead is use the AND operator and make sure that either one of those conditions is, both of those conditions have to be true in order for the loop to continue. So there we go. So we obviously in this case we don't reach 0 because we're I is reaching 10. Okay, which makes sense because we started one at 1 and the other at 10. So yeah, makes sense. We end up at 10 and 1 at the end.